Juice Scruggs, the second round pick by the Texans, presumably to hopefully start at center this year, spoke yesterday at rookie minicamp. And the biggest thing I can say after watching both him and Will Anderson speak is that we are way past the days of I'm just here to be the best teammate I can be. Which I don't want to overstate the importance of personality or good interviews or anything by rookies or any players for that matter. But it's just a lot more fun when guys are allowed to actually talk. So I think, well, some people are talking about whether some things the Texans are doing right now feel a little bit like Patriots South. I don't think we have to worry about that. And I'm not even worried about Patriots South as much as being like Bill O'Brien part 2 or something. So Juice Scruggs, very, very good in the media. And he started off being asked about his impressions of CJ Stroud. So we'll start off with that.
Yeah, it's been really cool. We had some crazy battles with Ohio State, and just to be able to meet him, how humble he is, and how passionate he is about this game. I'm excited to work with him and just getting to know him. And like you said, just trying to build that relationship, get that chemistry going. And what I thought about him in high school, college, I thought he was the best quarterback in the country for sure.
Best quarterback
Really
in the country
just
for
talking.
sure. Best quarterback in the country for sure. Put that in your headlines right there. I'm going to put it on the thumbnail. Better than Bryce Young or anybody else. I think as far as battles with Ohio State and Penn State, I know Ohio State has won 5 in a row, and I want to say 8 of the last 10. So, but I mean, some of those were closer than the scoreboard would indicate. I think the thing, the humility comes up again and again. And I think that's something that is going to be a little bit of a theme here.
Like getting to know each other, just talking about backgrounds, talking about life. Really, football, we don't really talk about football, but really, like, the first time we met, just getting to know each other, just like you see somebody on the street for real.
Yeah, and I think that's something that, like, Bill Snyder has talked about is just when you develop leadership on a football team, a lot of it is just at first getting to know people so you can have a relationship with them, and then expanding your circle outward as you start to influence more and more people. And I think that's kind of CJ Stroud's MO. He's not going to be a loud guy like Peyton Manning or a browbeater or anything. I think he's a get to know you type of guy. And the people that know him, it takes a little longer to get to know him, but the people that know him swear by him. So I think that's where some people, as Nick Casario alluded to, I think some people, Casario didn't say it exactly this way, but I think some people get the wrong impression of him at first, and it just takes a little getting to know him.
And then when we start talking football, you can just see why he was third, second over, whatever pick he was. You see why he was picked so high, because his knowledge is crazy.
You see, I feel like somebody already got to him about no. You see, it was a trade up for CJ Stroud, so it was like Will Anderson got taken second and CJ Stroud was third, but you had to take CJ Stroud to keep the third pick. No, don't worry, we're done with that. We're done with that. I swore all of that talk off. We're not talking about any of it anymore. This part I thought was really interesting because this I could relate to when you are a person that's played up north and never like lived in the South or played in the South, because Scruggs is from Erie, Pennsylvania. That's not as round about a couple hours away from where I grew up. This is your first impression on adjusting to the NFL when you come down and play football in May.
I would just say definitely the weather here is definitely different for me. Penn State, we don't get hot that much. So, and I heard this ain't even hot. So, yeah, that's definitely going to be the biggest challenge for me, I think.
Yeah, I remember the first time I felt real heat in Jacksonville when I was a rookie, and we were running half gassers. So it was like in May, it wasn't actual training camp yet. And I remember just like getting halfway through and thinking, this can't be like this isn't right. This isn't, and I'm looking at everybody next to me, like seeing if anybody else realized that it's not right. And there was an ice machine off in the corner that the athletic trainers use. And I started having these fantasies about running and jumping into the ice cooler. The other thing too, and I actually texted Chris Myers about this because I thought I had remembered Chris Myers like having really sweaty shoes. So I asked him, was there somebody that was like, he didn't remember it at all. He said, doesn't ring a bell right now, but that could be CTE coming to fruition. So I searched it and it was Vince Wilfork. Vince Wilfork on Hard Knocks had sweat bubbling up through his shoes, and Chris said shoe sweat bubbling was pretty common back in the day. Yeah, when I grew up north, I thought that salt pills were like an old myth, that there wasn't such a I thought that was just something that maybe they did in the 1950s or something. Then you fast forward to my rookie year playing in the South, and I'm taking about 20 salt pills before every practice so I don't lose 20 pounds. As far as starting as a rookie, and I want to come back to the humility part, because I think this is something that so far of the top 3 picks, we've heard some theme or variation of rookies. So Scruggs is asked point blank about whether he feels like he's prepared to start as a rookie. He didn't just come right out and say, hey, I'm going to start as a rookie.
If my number gets called, I'm going to be ready, and I'm just here to compete, and that's what I'm here to do.
So nice, humble answer right there. And then he was asked, have any Texans offensive linemen reached out to him yet?
Yeah. Larry Tunsil, he hit me up as soon as I got drafted, and Titus Howard hit me up too. Both those guys, veterans in the room, they both hit me up and just said, congratulations, let's get ready to work.
Yeah. I think, and we'll get into the humility aspect of this after the next clip about the offensive linemen. I think both Laramie Tunsil and then Titus Howard maybe taking on a little bit more of a leadership role this year. He's become an established quality starter in the league. They went through whatever. Boy, I didn't even want to think back to the fact that they played him at guard for almost the entire season. And then we thought Titus Howard, oh man. Oh, okay. Well, those days are past us now, right? And he's a right tackle. Laramie Tunsil, left tackle. Hopefully we got Shaq Mason, I think, is a very quality right guard locked down for a few years. It's a matter of getting Kenyon Green in. And I don't know if Scott Quesenberry called and like just kind of silently listened to him and then made a vague threat or something. But I'd like there to be competition. I think you got multiple guys now with Patterson and everybody else that can compete for that spot. But I think Scruggs is going to be prepared and ready. One more thing about the offensive linemen. Somebody asked about what having stability on the offensive line can do for the team and the quarterback.
Definitely, just having those two guys, two great vets, just being in the room, that's just not only for, like you just said, for the team and for the quarterback, but also for the young guys like myself. They can just show us the way and just show us things that they did wrong their rookie year and just learn from them.
That part right there, like, it sounds simple enough, things that they did wrong their rookie year and just learn from them. I've talked to you guys before about this. It's there really are. There's some guys that come into the league as rookies and they just either kind of have too big a chip on their shoulder, or they've been told that it's hyper competitive. It's everybody's out for blood in the NFL, and they don't trust the veterans. And sometimes on the offensive line, especially, like those guys don't haze. Like, nobody really hazes like back in the day. I mean, the guys used to literally get beat with socks full of coins. Like, it was bad. That was before I was in the league, because there were lawsuits. Google some Saints hazing stuff. And so nobody gets hazed anymore. But with offensive line, there are responsibilities, and it like the rookies are supposed to do things. They're supposed to carry pads. They're supposed to get coffee, all these things. And, so that's part of the indoctrination. Instead of hazing, it's responsibilities. It's learning your role. And every now and then you'll get guys, and not that infrequently, that are just feel like they're getting singled out or something. And that's a bad place to be if you're an offensive lineman, because that's like the most interrelated, interconnected position group on the field, where guys just have to rely on the guy next to each other. Everything I've seen from Scruggs, including the fact that he's a team captain, has suggested he's just flat out the right kind of guy. He's not going to get bent out of shape out of veterans helping him out, and certainly he seems to be seeking that out. Landry Locker had a nice little exchange. Exchange sounds like it's got a negative connotation, but just a couple questions here. So I'll play the entire exchange. Landry Locker, my colleague at Sports Radio 610, and also host of The Locker Room, which has awesome Texans content. I highly suggest you subscribe to The Locker Room.
Landry Locker, Sports Radio 610. Getting drafted, obviously, it's exciting no matter what. But what's it like when you see a team trade up and then you know you're going to be the guy that they pick. What was it like just sitting around? I'm sure you have family with you. What was that process like, and how much does the trade kind of add to the excitement?
Yeah, it was definitely like, the draft process is nerve-wracking as it is. But, once I got the call and they said they were trading up, my heart was jumping. I'm not going to lie. All I heard was my heartbeat when they said Houston, Texas coming to get you. So my heart was just jumping, and it was crazy. My brothers, I really didn't even think about it. And then my brothers was like, they just traded up to get you. That's like a really big deal. I was like, let's do it, man. I'm excited.
Yeah, we turn off the TV when they make the announcement.
Landry asked if you had to turn off the TV when they went to make the announcement.
Yeah. Had to turn. Everybody be quiet. And then once I got off the phone, everybody just went crazy, and all the emotions just came.
Dude, it is.
Yeah.
It's like draft day is one of the weirdest experiences because it feels so long, and now it's 3 days, which makes it even worse. But you just like everybody that gets taken is a guy that's not you, and you just keep getting pushed down the board. And think about it this way: most of the guys that are getting drafted haven't usually been in the position of getting chosen last in the schoolyard or something. Like usually you're one of the first guys taken if you're drawing teams, and then all of a sudden there you are, and it's been 50, 60, 70, 80 people, and it just keeps going and going and going. So I like, and you have perspective on it. It's not an insult or anything, but it's a long time of not being selected. And then I think the way he described it of just hearing his heartbeat is it's one of those situations where you don't necessarily anticipate or think about how you're going to feel when it happens, and it just hits you. It's such a unique and surreal experience, and especially for Juice Scruggs, who this is relevant for something that comes up later. Juice was in a car accident and ended up missing pretty much 18 months of football early on at Penn State. So there was a chance he might not even come back from it. He stuck it out, acted like a coach on the field, came back, and eventually was a multi-year starter and captain. And he addresses that a little bit. Somebody asked what it's been like moving to a new city and living his dream.
Ever since that phone call, it's been a lot of moving parts. It's definitely been nonstop moving. Just trying to I'm trying to block everything else out and just focus on the playbook. Just trying to learn that as quick as possible, and really just trying to soak everything in, enjoy the moment, and be where my feet are.
So be where my feet are, and this is where it starts to get a little philosophical up in here, because he speaks about life a little bit. I'm curious about that phrase, "Be where my feet are," and instead of Googling it myself, I had Chat GP4 do it for me, and because I keep hearing that, and I can't afford the royalties to Jason Mraz, so I'm not going to play this song. There's a book, "Be Where Your Feet Are," but it says that the rising interest in mental health and self-care, I had my AI assistant write this for me, has played a significant role in the popularity of Be Where Your Feet Are. People have become more aware of the importance of mental well-being and the need to prioritize their emotional needs at Balderdash. As a result, practices such as mindfulness and meditation have surged in popularity, and Be Where Your Feet Are has become a mantra for those seeking to ground themselves in the present moment. The phrase acts as a reminder to let go of past regrets and future worries, encouraging individuals to find solace and clarity in the present. We're screwed with this AI, man. It's actually pretty good stuff. I'm going to copyright it and make it my own. Put some motivational music behind me. I do think that it was one of the best pieces of advice from a sports. What do they call it? A mental enhancement guy. They don't want to call themselves psychologists anymore because athletes have a stigma attached to it. But James Lair was a sports psychologist who's worked with a lot of tennis players. But he taught me about really just letting go of the bad play that you just had by having a ritual. And a lot of that is kind of rooted in be where your feet are, be present. Don't worry about the next play, worry about this play right now. And it's good stuff. And I like that these guys have all been actually schooled on this stuff and have their little mantras. This is where it gets back to his car accident. He was asked by Brooks Cabina kind of to reflect on his journey since that car accident. And I think Juice at the end of this says something really interesting.
Just thank God, thank him for me just being here, being in this position, and I'm just so happy I didn't quit.
Yeah,
Yeah,
just that part there where he says he's so happy he didn't quit. I hadn't really thought about it in that perspective. I think a lot of times when you hear these motivational stories or these inspirational stories about guys who have come back from injury or illness or anything, I think there's a tendency to want to frame it, and it gets written as that nobody I never wavered, I never had any doubt, I just kept pushing on, so you could make a good sneaker commercial out of it. And it's just real life doesn't work that way. I think a lot of people have a lot of doubts all the time, and I've heard a lot of various successful champions talk about how important it is that on those days where you really do feel unmotivated, or those days where you don't feel inspired, like just the act of showing up is above and beyond what most people will or would do. And I think it sounds like he might have had a lot of those moments, especially when you're coming back from a broken back and you're relatively immobile. It probably feels like you can never play football again, or it's hard to envision yourself playing football again. So it's cool. I also though don't I would never wish upon anybody having a nice motivational story like that, because then when you're playing football, you get asked about it like 7 times a week, and he's got to figure out a way to be polite but also not, like, after a while you got to get callous to your own story. So if I asked you, Scruggs, about that, I'm going to figure out a very I'm going to get very granular and find some story that was written on, like, in his local newspaper about it, to ask about one specific aspect instead of tell me about your motivational story, Juice Scruggs. This is finally, he was just asked, I believe, by Kim Davis, just what his day looks like now that he's a rookie in the NFL. Like on a very, like, at a root level. What's your day look like?
definitely just learning to be a pro. Like you said, I got more time. It's definitely the most time I've had since high school. So just trying to figure out, like, trying to learn a routine for me that's gonna work, and really just trying to take care of my body, because now ain't no more school, so I can just focus on football, and that's what I wanted to do. So.
Yeah, and like we touched on this a little bit yesterday when Will Anderson was talking about it. It's a blessing and a curse. You've got so much time to focus on football, but also so much time to focus on uh, parties, and so much time to focus on various women that might be calling you, lady callers. So I used to like to call them. You've got time to focus on eating and drinking. You've got all these times to focus on things that aren't the best thing to focus on. So that's one of the things that separates guys after their rookie season. What do they show up like, looking like in year two? Because remember, we've had various guys, wide receivers I can think of, that just all of a sudden showed up in year two like 20 pounds overweight. Yeah, they figured out a way to fill their free time. Other guys go back to college. Other guys just take jujitsu or something, and learn more about football. But it's something. It's extra time to recover, and it's extra time to sharpen your skills. But it's also extra time to get distracted. So, thanks, guys. I'll try to update this again ASAP. I'm trying to go at least once a day, and I've gotten better at some of the editing things. But what I've learned about editing is that as you get better, you don't save any more time, because you just learn, like, oh, I got better at one thing but I still suck at 99 other things, so I got to work on item 1 of 99, and then maybe eventually, by the time, I just want to be replaced by AI. Good day.